Hello, my name is Kristensson and I'm a professor at Karlstad Universitet, the Service Research Center in Karlstad, Sweden. I will tell you a little bit about a research project that we have conducted together with the University of Stavanger in Norway and University of Aalborg in Denmark. Together we have been studying how user experiences with new digital welfare solutions are. And in this research project that we have been conducted for 3 years, we have been studying how nurses perceive new telemedicine equipment. And one starting point for this research project is that we see in previous research that individuals, they have difficulties in predicting and remembering the value that they have when they are using various types of goods and services. And of course, we are humans. We're not capable of thinking rationally all the time. So while we sometimes think that something will be very valuable for us, we will after some time experience that this is not so valuable. And this will imply difficulties and obstacles for us. Let me share you an example. Let's say you're going to a vacation. You are planning your vacation travel with your family, and before the vacation, that is pre-vacation, you're really looking forward to some sun, especially if you're from Scandinavia, and you are going to drink some nice beers perhaps, and you're predicting value, that is. However, during the same vacation, when you are at the place, so to say, it turns out that your kids are quarreling quite much, and you're also having some arguments with your wife, and the hotel turns out to not show your favorite football team. So while you're there, the value you receive is not as high as you expected. It's lower. And thirdly then, in time, after the vacation, you are at your job maybe, and one of your colleagues comes up to you and asks you, "How was your vacation, Per?" And then you go like, "Well, you know, it was awesome. I was enjoying the sun so much, and I drank some fantastic beers, and everybody was happy, so it was very enjoyable." That is, after the vacation, you're saying it is very good again. So before and after, you're estimating that the value is high, but the experience that you had was not that high. And this shows that we are having some difficulties in understanding value. And in this research project that we have, we're investigating what role experience has when it comes to determining or perceiving, predicting the value that nurses will have when they use a new telemedicine service. And we are, of course, as we are university researchers, relying on a psychological theory here called affective forecasting. And this psychological phenomenon then says the following. It says that individuals, will tend to over or underestimate value of future events, just like in the example I just shared with you. For example, one mistake that individuals do is that they focus on one part of the event only and don't consider other parts of the event. So if we're thinking about our vacation, for example, we're thinking about just the instance when we drink beer and not on all the other things that can happen at the vacation. And if we're thinking about new technology that we're about to use, we will also think about just one single part of usage and not all the aspects that are affected by this usage. And focus on attributes might we tend to focus on attributes that are changing for us, but not on the factors that remain unchanged. So for example, if we're using a new telemedicine service, we might see that this and this is changing, and that is what we're only focusing on when we're trying to predict the value that we will have by this service. And we're not focusing on the things that will remain unchanged. And there are several studies on this. One of the most cited ones is from Kahneman and Shekard from 1998, who studied lottery winners. And these lottery winners, they expected their life value to increase a lot because they focused on the things that would change for them. But of course, even though you win a lottery, $1 million on a lottery, you will still get a cold, and the TV shows that you will watch will still be the same. So many things will remain unchanged. The background of our study, called KOL, is an increased use and call for new telemedicine services. And more precisely, we wonder how nurses will perceive the value of these telemedicine services before they have used them. That is, when they don't have any experiences at all. And how these experiences of the value might change when they are using it, and also how they will think about it after they have used it. So let me share the hypothesis that we have for this study then. And it looks like this. We have two axes here. One from the bottom and up, it's the value perceived that the nurses are perceiving from this solution, the telemedicine equipment. And then on the other axis, from the left to the right, we have the time aspect. And we expect that the predicted value from the beginning will be rather low, as you can see here in red. From the beginning, when these nurses not having used the telemedicine, they are perceiving that this equipment will be less valuable for them. It will be a telemedicine solution not so usable in their job. But when they are using it, we hypothesize that they will be unable of seeing that these telemedicine solutions actually could help them quite a lot when they are doing their job. It will, for instance, help them to communicate with potential patients that are very far from them, decreasing geographical distance. So above the smartphone here, you could see that it says valuable in green. That is at the point of experience, when they're using it. And if you would ask them then, they would say, this is pretty good. But then, third in time, after some time has passed, if we ask them again, please tell me, how valuable was the telemedicine service that you used a couple of days or weeks ago? Then we think, or we hypothesize, as we say in research, that they will again state that this was not so valuable for them. So the value is highest at point of usage and lower before and after. And we also infer that if we use telemedicine services with a very high technical quality, these differences will be reinforced. And to investigate this then, we conducted a study in Karlstad. It's an experiment with 3 groups, within group design that is before they're using something, when they're using it, and after they're using it. And then there's a 2 group where we investigate technical performance. And that is one solution which is functioning very good, an excellent telemedicine service. And then there is one not functioning so good, a telemedicine service which performs rather poor. And each participant, each nurse in this survey, in this experiment, are filling out a survey at 3 different times before they have tried the telemedicine solution. And then, secondly, just after they've used it for the first time. And then, thirdly, 10 days after they are using it. And these 2 types of telemedicine services are functioning, as I said, one very good and one much more poor. And here are the results from this study. As you can see, here is the question: how do you perceive IT services in general? And you can see in dark blue, that is the groups using the excellent telemedicine service. You can see the predicted mean here, 1.5, saying that, well, telemedicine services might have some benefits for me, but they're not that enthusiastic about them. But at the point of usage, after having communicated with another nurse about the difficulties that the patient has, the value experienced is much higher. It's almost up at 4. So they're saying it's very valuable actually here. And then 10 days after, again, we can see that this value is decreasing. Now it's only 2.6 10 days after. So they seem to forget how valuable they thought that the IT service, the telemedicine service, was. And you can see that the differences are not the same for those using the poor telemedicine service. It actually remains the same all the time. There are no significant differences here. Let's move further. We asked the nurses about the perception of their own ability to diagnose this patient, relying on the information that they received from the other nurse that they were speaking to. They predicted in the excellent telemedicine service group that the value from this service would be rather low or medium, so to speak. It's 0.5. But when they're using it, again, we see the same pattern here. It's increasing a lot up until 2, and 10 days after, it's decreasing a little bit again. And for the group using the low-performing telemedicine service, we see that the same pattern as in the previous question is repeated. There are not that large differences. We also asked the nurses about the ability that they thought they would have to understand the problem that the patient had. And again, we can see the same differences once over. We can see that the prediction is rather low. We can see that the experience is very high here, or at least highly increased from the prediction, significantly so. And then again, after some time, they will have distorted memory of the value that they received here. They will think that the ability to understand the problem that the patient had is not so good. And for the poor performing telemedicine service, we see that also here the experience is higher than the prediction. And interestingly, the memory of it seems to increase as well. And the last slide I will show here about this study, which I think is interesting for you people, is how satisfied the nurses thought they would be with the technical functionality. And that question is important here because we saw a lot of differences between those using the excellent telemedicine service and the not so good performing telemedicine service. And we can see here that these patterns that I have been speaking about all through this presentation is the same here. The prediction is lower, the experience is higher, and then there's a slow decrease again. So if I would to try to sum up this study, I would like to do this by sharing these 4 bullet points here. First of all, as you can see, participants in this study, nurses, they predicted and remembered experiences differently from how they perceived them when they just had experienced the service. So how people predict and how they remember tends to differ from the actual experience. And if we do pairwise comparisons, we will see that the experienced measure is significantly higher than the predicted value. And in some cases, this is also the same for the remembered value. It is significantly lower than in the experienced value. And fourthly then, the technical quality of this telemedicine service matters a lot because it reinforces these differences. And what I would like you to keep in mind for the future is, of course, that if we only rely on predictions of value and not experience things, status quo tends to be preferred. People seem to have difficulties in predicting their future value, and they might infer that that is why I don't want to do this or try this. Or as in the vacation example, they are inferring that the value is much higher than it might sometimes be. We think that experienced value can actually be retrieved. We can help users to retrieve their actual value. So although the remembered value is lower than the experienced, we can help people, for example, showing them how we collected information about them when they experienced something, and this might help them to better understand the value that they actually experienced. And we also think that high quality communication opportunities are important. As you saw in this study, they received significantly higher value than in the low performing service condition. So these are the results from our study, and I hope they also provided you with some value and some interesting thoughts for how to think about value before it happens, when it happens, and after it happens. Thank you.